All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is February 23rd, 2019. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is 5 Great Trade Setups You Can Bank On. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, let me go ahead and show you one screen here real quick. And we're going to do this one like one of the training webinars, that'll be more important there on the website. I think they're all pretty important, but, this one's going to open a lot of people's eyes to seeing some of these trades and what to look for. Now, one thing I want to mention first off is you don't have to learn every single thing that I'm going to talk about today. There are some successful trades on the charts, and we're going to go through 5 of them today. Okay, but right off the bat, though, you need to also know that there are at least 4 trends on your charts. Okay, there's Lightning 1, Lightning 2, Lightning 3, and Lightning 4. Now, Lightning 1, you don't really use to, if it changes trends, you're not necessarily shorting, if you go from long to short on Lightning 1 or even 2. You're staying with the overall trend, which is 3. Okay, so we watch those 4 trends and we trade the retrace trade on the first 3. Okay, we also watch the bands for direction. That's the power trend. That's the mid band colors and also stair stepping up or stair stepping down or sideways. We scalp and hold runners in the direction of the trend. We also scalp aggressively with tight stops as we see opportunity. We buy and sell kiss trades of support and resistance. And in 4-range bar trading, your support and resistance is critical. I mean, they're always looking to the left to trade the right is definitely the way to trade. Okay, we watch for trades around mid-band in the money band area. You want to be careful with mid-band trades in chop. You've got to see the next level to the left, for instance, that you're trying to do with the right is high enough to get a scalp. Okay, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. Okay, we also watch for deeper retrace trades in the direction of the prevailing trend. Okay, we watch the charts for identified lightning for trade entries, and that's extremely important. Identified lightning is key. And we recommend trading the equity open only with extreme caution. Okay, the reason for that is because it's easy to get sideways or whacked around a little bit at the very open of the market. You don't want to do that. Okay, we have terminology in our room such as mid-band trade, phantom, it's rolling over, it's breaking up, box it in, no bias, bias, runner, scalp target, and more. And there's not a whole lot more. If you learn this terminology right here, which most of our people have, then you can become a really good trader with that. Okay, so be sure and learn that terminology. It's extremely important. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and go to a chart and looking to the left to trade the right, what is the prevailing trend on this chart as we look at it right now. If you're told by someone, for instance, that higher highs and higher lows is a long trend, then you guessed right. Okay, now what about the overall trend? If you look to the left, it's been pretty much heading down also, hadn't it? But from a huge move up. So maybe some retracing. And this is a real chart, by the way, for anybody that's not been in my webinars before. This is actually a chart of oil, and this is without any prices on it, but the prices are really there. It is choppy. That's true too, Hardy. Yeah, Hardy's making an observation that it is choppy. Now, what I like to personally do, okay, is look to the left to trade the right. Extremely important. You've got a low here, you have a high here, okay? When was this high taken out? Well, if you drew a line across the chart, you can pretty much see that it was taken out right across here, okay? So that identified that swing, okay? Now, that only identified it by 4 ticks, okay? So in hindsight, if this was to go 4 ticks up and then start cratering back down and start stair-stepping back down, you wouldn't be in an uptrend, would you? You would have just been in a little fake. We had something like that on Friday morning, remember? Where I called that oil trade on oil and we got that monster nice move long instead of short. Okay. So basically right now, the way I see it anyway, this is definitely a little bit of an uptrend. It hasn't taken out the low on the left yet. See, it's a higher low. Now we don't know what it's done from here, so let's draw that too. And let's see what it's doing. Okay, so far you have a high, a low, a lower high, but not a lower low. Okay, look to the left and you still see that you're in an uptrend. Okay, and it makes it then pretty easy, I think, to trade this, obviously. Now I don't know what color the chart is. Looking at it the way I'm seeing it right now, I would think it would be pretty much sideways. We'll find out when we go to the actual chart. We're going to change this to the actual chart here in just a minute. Okay, but let's say, for instance, I'm in the room and I say, okay, this is pretty choppy. There's no question about that. Could we be looking for a trade if it breaks above here? Okay, or could we be looking for a trade if it breaks above here and then pulls back to here? That's what we talk about. That type of trade there, okay? And our predictors will pick this stuff up too, most every time, okay? And let's just change this template to the actual chart and let's just see what's going on in the chart. We've already diagnosed it, right? Now this is one of my personal favorite type of trades to look for, thrust and retrace, okay? Now, can you take a thrust break type trade? Absolutely you can. Keep in mind, though, that if you were to box this in like right here, or maybe even with a trend line or something, you want to be sure that it goes your direction. Okay, get you a nice scalp, maybe comes back to your cost and then takes off. Okay, let's change this template real quick. Let's just change it. We'll go to our regular chart. These lines should stay on it, hopefully. Let's see what it looks like. All right, line stayed on it. There we are. All right, now we've diagnosed our chart and we go, whoa, wait a minute, Gary, this is actually in a downtrend. It is, but it's in an uptrend from here. Everybody sees that, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. That's your identified swing on Lightning 3. Okay, in the larger thrust, retrace, thrust. Okay, now over here, this doesn't mean that you couldn't have taken a phantom here, and I'm going to go over that. That's one of my favorite trades. Okay, if you happen to have gotten long down here, obviously you'd be getting out instead of shorting it, but this is a true phantom trade, and we're going to go over phantom trades today too, because oil is pretty notorious for phantom trades. You have to know how to trade oil because it does a lot of phantom type trades. Okay, now when I diagnose this chart right here, I see that if this does decide to break up, that I'm going to at least try to go here. So could we actually box this in for maybe a quick 10-tick trade? And the answer would be yes. Okay, let's see. In this kind of chop, how many contracts would you take, Mindy? Well, I don't want to really, get people to thinking, how many contracts as much as for the winning trade. But unless I'm really absolutely unsure about a trade, I'll usually, do 2. Okay. You can also do 1, and then, if it triggers your trade and then even keeps ticking in the direction you're thinking it's going, just add another one. Because you'll know pretty quick if you get a bar up and then a bar down immediately, it's not going up. Okay, or vice versa on a short. But to me, what I see on this particular chart here is, well, basically you've got lower highs and you've got higher lows, right? So you're kind of in a wedge. You know, you're in a tight wedge and you're also in a loose wedge. I'll draw them both. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you're in this wedge, like so, and you're in this wedge, like so. See how that's actually like the larger part of the wedge, and then this is more of the pricing that we're seeing right now. Now, I don't normally just go for a really tight wedge like this because this could easily bip you in short and then pop it long. Okay, but I'm drawing my wedge so I can tell which way I want to box this thing, and looks to me like I would probably box this one either direction, don't you? I mean, I think I would box this pretty much either way. So let's give it a try and let's see what it does. Now, if you are going to go with the prevailing trend, though, okay, keep in mind that over here on the left, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, but you never got a lower low. Okay, so is this trend ending because you've now got a low, a high, higher low, and much higher high than even over here? And you're also stair-stepping up. Okay, so is this going to actually change trends pretty soon? Well, it really depends. If it hits its head here and rolls over, then I would say no. But if it actually, you know, hits up here, keeps going through it, tests here even, then more than likely we'll be heading up. But we don't know that right now. Okay, but this midband is red. Okay, we're pretty sure that we're starting to stair step up, but we're still kind of sideways too. So this is where boxing in comes in, you know, kind of handy actually. Okay, so let's give this a shot and let's just see what happens. We'll do it in replay mode, and we'll turn on our region and hit our insert key. Now, you notice that region basically draws with just a couple of bars or so. Okay, but you can instantaneously change it. Okay, for instance, if I wanted to at least take out this swing, maybe not this one, but at least this one, then I could easily stretch this side of the box. If I wanted to at least take this out, if it was going to head down, or even if I wanted to take this out, I can even resize, see, like that even. Now, that's a pretty good sized box to me. I don't really like that box as much. So the way I would do this particular trade, if it fires, I would actually do this. I would box it right here. And if it closes above here, I would watch it and I would not let it go against me. Let's see. Thank you for doing this area because this is most confusing. Okay. Yeah. Mindy, the one thing to look for, wow, I got duplicate predictors. Let's fix that. Anybody ever run into that? I had to reinstall Ninja yesterday. So let me show you real quick how to fix this problem. Okay, you got to go to your strategy, turn it off. See up here where it says minute on predictor. The reason for that is I had to reinstall Ninja yesterday because I was working with my programmer. And a lot of times we'll start from a scratch Ninja. That way we make sure there's nothing causing any problems from what's already in it. All right, so I'm going to go to range bar, for range, and I'm going to go to my stealth down here and change it also to 4 range. Scroll down again. I don't know why that does that, but it does. And then we'll go 4. Now, also, when you first put Ninja on with Object Trader, you do want to go in here and tell it how many contracts you want to do. We maxed it out at 3. That's up to you if you want that. 2. You can even put 1 in there if you want to. I personally like to do 4 at about the most that I do on oil. I don't like to go above that very often, and if you do, you'd have to change charts. Okay, so we'll set that as our default and put it on. And we got to turn Object Trader on. Bear with me a second. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and rebox it. Now, like I say, the reason that I actually do this little break is because if this is going to go my way, then I'm going to go ahead and take this trade. But with this stair stepping up, I'm going to not trust the short as much as I'm trusting the long because of these higher lows. So I would probably put my buck something like that. Okay. Because we're not getting lower lows yet. So, you know, you're still basically definitely in a downtrend so far, but you're also stair stepping up, you know, for a very possible uptrend. This is that area where if you can get the first burst, or you know, can be pretty good, because you're getting into leg one, leg two, you're getting into leg three if it does that. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and leave this like this, and we'll say close, and we'll just do 2. All right, let's just see what happens. Now this is one of my not my most favorite trade, simply because this is pretty choppy. And no matter what equity you trade or anything else, it's easy to look at a chart on let's say a 10-hour period and see some great trends. And then you think, wow, look where I could have gotten in. But what happens usually when you come into the room, you've only got 2 hours, you're not going to get that much movement some days. And then some days you will. But this is what we're mostly looking at when we're trading is, you look and you say, okay, well, this is pretty choppy, garbagey stuff, Now, could you actually go ahead and leave your trend line on, and even if it breaks this and breaks the trend line, you could actually add one if you wanted to. Now, if you're not sure of this trade, like I said, the best way to do it is 1, and then let's just see what it does. Let's see which way it goes. Hopefully I can get it without going too fast. I got it going 20 times, so that'll be a little quick. See, it's even stair stepping up on the Lightning 1 also. Anybody get up this morning and your ninja was, I couldn't even get 2 of my feeds to even load today. I don't know if they were doing some server stuff on Rhythmic or what. Let's see, it was messed up this morning. Yeah, yours was too, Raymond, huh? Yeah, I don't know what the deal was, but it's just I guess they do service on Saturdays or something. All right. Now, what if you said, well, you know what? I want to wick this in here, but then see, the higher you keep going, the closer you get to this. So if we're going to break up and test this, we got to have at least 10 ticks to get there. I try to always figure that out in my mind. If for instance, if I close above this, I could be all the way to 94 and I'd only have 6 ticks. So I might even change this to touch, like +2 instead. And that way I can get in a little bit quicker, but I definitely want it to go my direction and not against me. Everybody see what I'm doing here? Always make sure that when you get your fill and everything, you can at least get that scalp. 8 to 10 ticks is a scalp. 6 is a little bit shy. 6 will do if you got like 3 contracts. It looks like it's going to fire. All right, so we fired there. If this ticks up again, you could go ahead and add one. See, like that. See how it just kicked up above it? So I added one. And we're going to take out one of them right here at this top. Put our stop a little tighter just in case, because this is stair stepping up. Now, I wouldn't go adding another one simply because it's still looking pretty sideways and it's not just jumping up like crazy. What I will do, though, I'll move my target out of the way. I'll try to get this top over here. Let's see, would you even let it come back to mid-band, Mindy, on your question? Well, basically I've got an 8-tick stop on it right now, but I'm going to watch and see if I can get some lightning setting up, and then I'll tighten my stop even more. I got to give it some wiggle room though, unfortunately. Now, if it stays above mid-band and it pops this little swing here, I'll bring my stop to mid-band. And hopefully it'll hit our target so we'll have some coin in the trade. Not much yet. But, you know, for instance, if you tightened your stop so much like this, like right here to give an example, that's too tight. You want to at least lag it back to like a lightning one swing that's identified. See, because this is identified. See, you basically got a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. That's your identified swing right there. Now see, we're feeling some heat on it right now. We just hit our trend line. Notice that? Okay, but I've got to still give it this lightning. That's all there is to it. I've got to give it lightning. And usually what I do is even go, there, we're getting better, a little bit better anyway. And I usually even do exit on close simply because I don't want it just wicking me out of this little swing. But see how this is stair-stepping so far? Stair-stepping up a little bit. Now I could probably go ahead and raise it to right in through here, see? And it looks like we're going to be good for at least one contract anyway. Now notice that if this comes against me, I'll still lose 80 bucks. Okay? But I've got to let it ride at least with lightning one, don't I? I mean, if you look at lightning one, let's draw it just real quick. I think I'm seeing it right. So you don't even have lightning one just yet because it hadn't really closed up enough to identify this one. Your identified swing is still down here. But I'm also seeing this one here with this down and this up candle. And this up candle here, if this one goes up, then we should have a swing identified. Hopefully. There we go. Let's see if lightning jumps up there. One candle back and one candle up. Let's see if we get a lightning. This is going to draw one big line here in a minute, it looks like to me. But see, in my mind's eye, I still see a candle down and a candle up. So to me, that's a little micro swing. But it's not a strong micro swing by any means. Okay? Let's see if we can get any higher on this. Now, look to the left to trade the right and see how they're busting out of 99 right here. Now, what does everybody think that they're more than likely going to do? They break resistance. They'll pop up, probably give us a little bit more, and then they'll come back and kiss this more than likely. That's what they usually do. Why is my lightning not drawing? Let me see if I would think that lightning would draw on that, but let's see. That is still lightning. Yeah. Hadn't been enough of a swing to give us a lightning swing yet. That's when I like to use these where I draw them in my mind. See, I'm seeing this like this right here. And that's good enough for me. I would probably even bring my stop just under this swing even right now, so I'm protected. I've got money in the trade regardless. Okay? But could you be ready if they decide to come back and kiss this? Could you be ready to add one? And matter of fact, it's going up pretty good, isn't it? Now, if you're a gutsy type trader and you want to get out fairly quickly, you could use the trend line itself, like so. Touch plus, say, 2, and you could get out of the trade. Okay? See how I've got that trend line drawn now? This should get me out of this trade. Hopefully these don't interfere with it. Let me take this out. There we go. We just got flat. Okay. Now that is a gutsy out on what I call a really good trend. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to do that, but if you do it, then watch for your next trade to set up on your chart and draw your lines on your charts. And remember where we had that line drawn earlier at 99? Would you be ready to take a trade if it kissed that? Because I would be. Let's see if we can get something like that. I don't know. We may have just missed a good opportunity, but let's draw on our charts. Thrust, retrace. More than likely it would come down and hit here. All right, that's below line 6. That's near stealth. That might be below stealth before it comes down. See it? This would be a minimum criteria trade more than likely if it happens. Now, if you got out of a trade like that and you were up like $200, okay, and you're waiting for the next trade, one of my favorite trades to look for when this background changes, your midband changes, is that first pullback into a predictor. Are we going to get all the way to midband? Well, you could look to the left to trade the right because this is immediate left, but this is also immediate left as far as price is concerned. See here, swing, swing. So I'd be looking for a bounce here or a bounce all the way down to midband. Let's see which one of them sets up. Now, does everybody like this particular kind of trade? You know, and by the way, keep in mind that you don't have to, when you see something go up like it did right there, you do not have to get out of that last contract. You know, the tightest stop that I would probably ever do would be line 6. Okay, because keep in mind that, you know, just like this little chart here that I'm getting ready to show you right here, okay, just like this chart right here, you're basically looking at this little micro movements, okay? And you can sometimes get out too early and miss something like that, okay? So that's why we have such good things on our charts to keep us in these trades. All right, now, unfortunately, we've got to look for a pullback before we can even get in this trade. All right, now we could look at very possibly midband. See here to the left and here. See if we get a predictor. Yeah, I would get in the habit if you see a nice pop, you know, watch to where they're pulling back. You know, how far are they thrusting? They're pulling back. And then, you know, you could have easily trusted line 6. Okay, let's just pretend you're still in it. We knew where to get in it, but let's just pretend if it takes out line 6, we're out and we'll get back in if it comes down and kisses. We're retrace traders, so we're looking for a retrace. There's power meters went red. Now, I'm usually pretty quick on that. If it comes even close to that line, I'm usually in that trade. Okay, and the reason for that is because they don't always come down to it, but see how predictor said, you know, actually predictor said right there, and we got filled even a little bit late. Okay, now since we've only got one, unfortunately, we've got to just let it run. Okay, where could you put your stop? Anybody? Now that they've taken out line 6, where would you put your stop if they take out line 6? Usually if they take out line 6, if you want to really try for any kind of a gusto trade, you got to use midband. Or at least line 5. Okay? And when they've taken out line 6, you got to also remember that if they do take out line 6 on a pullback, that's kind of what they're showing you that they're going to do if they continue stair stepping up. Okay, so if you get taken out at line 6, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't use line 6 as your stop again. Not on this particular run anyway. Let's see, the pullback was 61% at 56.99. Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't even check that, but you can get to where you can actually, you know, almost see it with your eyes anyway on those fibs. Now, I would probably add to this. Yep. I'm adding to it. Now, keep in mind that I could actually lose the farm, so to speak, because this could easily come right down to here. See this right here? Okay, see how they just tried to do an ABC? All right, so we're still in a trade. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten my stop now. See there? The reason I did that is because they tried to take people out that were in this original long, and they did if they put their stop underneath the swing. Okay? And that's what they end up doing all the time. Now, what if you miss this trade entirely? What's everybody's favorite trade? Do you like a little breakout trade, or do you like the retrace trade the best? Because let's say, for instance, that you're one of those that says, you know what, this is just moving, it's running, I'm going to grab it. Well, the moment you grab it, more than likely it's going to go against you. Okay, because you got to wait for a retrace. Now I did this on purpose because I'm seeing this where they're trying to do a double top here. Now would you grab that trade after it thrust? No, don't do that, because we're retrace traders. See how you're feeling heat on that already? You know, if you get up in the middle of the morning or something, or 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, don't go buying trades all the way up to the tops. You got to wait for that pullback. Now, if they just keep trucking, you know, then you just missed a good trade. But that is not a way to trade right there. So we're going to close it. I just did that just to show you. Let's see, I would add it if it broke the double top. Well, you could do that. Yeah. Now, we've got to get in another trade now, though. So what are we doing, everyone? Well, let's look to the left to trade the right, and let's see what they're doing. They checked that swing at 99. They haven't checked this one at 01. And they haven't checked 04. So that's a little sweet spot area for me right there, looking to the left to trade the right. And now what I'm going to do is see if I get a predictor. Because our predictors are figuring out that price action right there. And it doesn't matter what the price action is, predictor will try to figure it out. There's a double top, by the way. We should get a predictor. See if it hits where we think it does. We drew on our chart. Now, would you chase it here, anybody? Nope. Nope. If you missed the trade and got out, you got to wait for a retrace, no matter if it even goes up as far as that goes, unless you take a breakout and it never goes against you. Okay? You've got to wait. Let's see, I don't understand that they didn't check that level to the left. Well, they haven't checked it yet. Oh, you mean the lines I drew? Well, keep in mind that, you know, we had 99 first right over here. See, it almost came down to it within, looks like a tick. All right, so we drew that on our chart. But see, we got another level over here at 04 that they haven't checked now, so I drew a line. Okay, and then they haven't checked this level right here, you know, on this side of the chart. See, this is the left side of the chart now. This is the right side of the chart. So I'm looking for either a bounce off of this level here or this level right here, but I don't think they'll come this low because they've already checked it. So I think it'll be right in here. This is the area that I would be looking for the trade. Let's see if predictor finds it too. Getting a little pullback. See why you don't chase them at the top? That's one thing. If you chase a trade near a top, just keep in mind that if you get up 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 on one contract and you start sliding back at all, just grab 30, 40, 50, $60. You know, don't let them take it all back from you, because, you know, most of the times when they hit these double tops, they do pull back. And they double top quite often. Anybody notice that when you're trading? Let's see. I keep getting hopeful that it will take out the top, and then I don't take profit, and it comes back and gets me, and I'm in the hole. That can happen to anybody. Now look at that. I drew that. See that? Predictor saying it's right in this little sweet spot that we're looking for a trade. We drew it ahead of time. We know where it's trying to go back. Now, could it actually break out? Anybody? It could, but if I was going to take a breakout trade, I'd probably do it like 4 ticks above the swing and see if they're going to really break it out. And then I wouldn't let it go against me. See if we can get this little trade. Where are we expecting it to come down to? Anybody? Well, we've got our lines drawn on our chart. It's already tested here. So if they're going to head up, guess what? High, low, higher high. Barely higher high, though. So more than likely, they won't check this one again. Everybody see that? So you draw your line there, and that is your low that they can't take out if they're going to continue heading up. But they still haven't checked this swing here, which was at 04. Clearly see it right here. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that literally amazing? But watch it, watch it. It's got to go in my box, though. At least check. You going to check 04 or not, you little turkey? Predictor says right here. I'm going to assume even on top of this predictor will be okay. See how it tested exactly where I thought it would? You've got to be able to look at your charts and see, just exactly where they haven't checked yet. They will check each one of these swings. And the most important one that you're looking for are these a priori swings, which are your lightning 3. Okay. Now, if you're not a gutsy trader like that I just did just then do this instead. Box it in, just like Charles and I teach, and then take a trade. Okay, so we got 1. Let's just go with if it breaks the box. Where could we put our stop even now? Anybody? You don't have to have it 15 ticks down. See that stop right there? They can't take that out and continue up. If they took that out with a closed bar, they wouldn't be heading up. Now, if they did take you out there, you wouldn't lose that much on this trade because we already got in. We got an average right here. Okay, we move our target out of the way. We look to the left to trade the right. Okay, we see swing right across here. That would be good. And look to the left, trade the right. There's a set of swings across there at 33. Wish I had one more contract because I'd like to draw on the chart again. And then right across here on those a priori swings, 57.48. So now we've got our trade in and we're ready to roll. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now, what I've showed you so far are about 2 of my favorite trades. Always check to see what the trend is actually doing. Okay. You got to do kind of a mental peruse of your chart. If you're getting higher highs and higher lows on Lightning 3, then, you want to stop paying attention to this background because this background is later to change. Notice how it didn't change till right in through here. Okay. But notice how we got in the trade right down here. But we did that by looking for higher lows. Okay. And were we sure that this trade was going to go our direction? No. But remember I said if it went against me, that I would not let them just, pop up barely and then pull back and take me out. Okay. But we were looking at this to go up because you were getting higher highs and higher lows. Okay. Now, this is like 3 o'clock in the morning. What if you got up at, 6 o'clock or something like that? What could a person be looking for? Okay. You want to see if we can figure out the next trade? Predictors, a lot of the key. That's one of my favorites to look at. Now, of course, we'd go ahead and move our stop, wouldn't we? And we know that it's been taken out line 6, so could we just use line 4 as our stop? We just use line 4. That's still below cost, though, so let's use line 5. There we go. Notice how we're above our stop now, so we cannot get hurt on this trade at all. Now, if this starts respecting line 6, see if 6 starts heading up and it doesn't get touched like that, I would change it to 6. The reason for that is, and I usually lag it back a couple of ticks or so at least. That way it doesn't get stopped out so easily. Okay, notice how it hit 33. Pretty good little trade, huh? So everybody see how we were able to figure out just by looking at our chart? Try to drown out this stuff right here. Take a few minutes and look at your webinar chart, you know, the black one that's on the website, or train your mind to just pretend those bars aren't there. Because, you know, when we looked at that black chart, wasn't it easier to see that it was an uptrend? Because everybody in this room that was in this webinar said, Gary, that's in an uptrend. But yet, if you looked at all of this, was it in an uptrend? Well, it still was, wasn't it, by this time? Because you had a low, you had a high, higher set of lows, higher set of highs. You're stair-stepping up, okay? You got a higher high. You got a low down here. They didn't take it out. That's a higher low again. You know, it was screaming to go up. That's when you get into that first part of that move that's really, really good. Okay? Let's go ahead and move our target. This thing's really moving. Let's fast forward this and see if everybody can figure out the next trade. Well, that was close. Didn't get line 6. Just stopped us out. Anybody see a trade setting up right before our eyes right now? Is that a trade? Yes or no, quick. High, low, higher, high. That's absolutely a trade. I'm going to take it. All right, I trust it. You know why I trust it? Because you got a high, you got a low, you got a higher high. They can't take this out and continue up. So I'm going to lag my stop just a little bit under it, just in case, with exit on close. Everybody see why I did that? Because they could easily take it out a little bit, but you don't expect them to take it out by a lot, okay? Because that is a higher low right there. Now, if this is too gutsy for you right here, then you've got to wait for it to at least like break a trend line or do a little box, okay? I will usually take a trade like that the second I see it, simply because I'm not stair-stepping down yet, so I trust that trade. Okay, let's see if it works. It'll probably kill me, but let's find out. Nope, didn't kill me. See, it just barely, look at that. That's what they do. They'll barely take those out. I'd probably even add one. Yep, definitely would. See there? If it starts stair-stepping down micro, though, keep in mind, though, Brian, when looking to the left to trade the right, because I want to show you the trade that I called in the room on Friday morning on oil. And the reason that it was called on it was because it was still respecting the other side of the chart. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that you couldn't take, you know, shorts and everything, you know, because at the open, they do what they want to do. Let's diagnose it and let's see if we can all figure it out at the same time. Let's see. We opened the room at 7:55? So let's see if we can fast forward it to about right there. We'll go forward. Let it go ahead and do its thing. All right, let's see. We're not quite to 7:59 yet. Let's keep going. Close enough. All right, let's diagnose our chart. We just opened the room. Let's look at our chart. I'm going to get rid of this lightning 1. But let's draw lightning 3. Where we have a high, we have a low. We draw our lines on our chart, right? We get rid of this one. We're just going to look at lightning 3. All right. Now, if this was going to decide at all to break down, okay, what would you end up having to do? Like, for instance, if you missed this little trade right here because it already fired, you're not going to take that trade. This is at the open of the market with our little white box that we draw. Remember, we talked about drawing that little box. But anybody see a swing that actually held on all those pullbacks? You know, this is the open of the market. See this little white box right here? We drew this little box in the room on Friday. Anybody remember it? And did you get a quick long right off my line? I called it, remember? We called that at 63. But did it take out that top? Not yet. You got your little white box drawn. You're still long. Does anybody remember where I called this trade out exactly? Because we had a low, we had a high, we had a higher low, and we had a higher high. So basically, what I'm looking at on the micro trend is right here. Right there. Everybody see that? That's your little micro lightning swing. Because at the open, you know, this thing's been going up a lot. You're starting to get a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high than this one. So now it's high, low, lower high, little lower low, just ticked, and then another lower high if it takes out our trend line. And some of our people that trade this particular way with this little box, now I've got this yellow one drawn. I apologize for that, but the white one is right here. See it? See that little white box like that right there? Now, if I was going to draw this box to at all take a short, if I see this wick right here, I would not draw this box just where this white box is. I would draw it more like this. Okay, see, you're still long already. Remember, I called the trade at 63, if I remember right. Let's see if it takes out our little swing, or if it, remember we talked about lightning. Now, I don't normally like to go against a trend even at the open. It's kind of scary for anybody. Okay, but it is amazing what these openings will actually do, because some of our people were ready to take this trade short if it broke this line right here. We were just getting stopped out. I remember this trade on Friday. Called it right here. We took the bar close up. I think some of our people were filled at 65 or 66. It got a 10-tick trade. And let's see what happened after that. See how that went red right there? You can take that trade off the table if you want right there. Now, when, by looking at Lightning 3, would this trade? Anybody? Yeah, it actually did tank, didn't it, Phil? High, low, lower high. Notice that you got a Lightning 3 swing right here. Okay. Now let's look at this on the little black chart just for a minute. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to get another chart up, but it'll be a black webinar chart. I'm going to try to identify all 5 of those type of trades that I like right there. Let's draw our lightning 3. Okay, if you were looking at this chart right here, draw your lightning 3. All right, so you have a high, you have a low, you've got a lower high right here. Now, it doesn't draw it because it doesn't go from green to yellow back to green that's behind it. You see what I mean? Because this price, this was after. Let me just show you how it's drawn. Okay, see how that was back behind that one? So it drew here. Okay, so if you take this lightning 3 out, you would be having a 1, 2, 3, right? So in that case, they would be taking this short if they break this line right here. Everybody see that, right? But you have to not take this out. Oh, just one sec. It freeze. Pardon me on that. Okay, see this right here? I drew the lightning 3. 1, 2, 3. See how this barely took out the high, just barely took out the low? You know, 3 ticks and then off it went. That's what happens a lot of times. They'll barely take out these supports and then they pop them. That's why we box them at those mid bands. All right. But does everybody see that if, for instance, let's say that you were trailing like this and maybe you came up and didn't take out the highs and you started stair stepping, where would be the area that you would be looking to short this if it broke? And by the way, our little white box drew it right there because it was the open of the market. Okay, remember we just got stopped out though on our little long trade. But watch what actually happened. I'll go ahead and put it in lightning 1 mode. We won't care about the trade as much as just watching it. Now I'm going to draw another line though. So let's say you boxed this in and you shorted it. Anybody remember this? Now, looking to the left to trade the right. Does anybody remember a trade that was actually called in real time in the room? Because looking to the left to trade the right, you had a high, low, higher, high. This was your identified swing at 36. Now notice what they did here. They just barely took it out. Now could somebody see that you could easily box this in like right across here and take that trade if it decided to go ahead and break back to the upside? Like so. And watch what happened. We'll just fast forward it again. See there? Anybody remember that particular trade? Now, if you were looking to short this trade, if it does decide to break down at all, keep in mind that this is more than likely this phantom area. If we look at the actual chart, let's just see if it is. Yep, it's the phantom area. All right, so if you were going to trade a phantom, to give an example, one of my favorite trades, where would you box this trade? You've got a high, you got a low, you got a lower high so far. Could you just box it right there? Not longs. Because remember what I was telling you on Friday? We were long on this trade from down here, and it was a monster trade. Okay, but we got stopped out right in through here, but we didn't go short. Okay, you can actually flip these if you want to, but you got to be careful. I would even draw like a trend line on the chart, you know, something like that. And if it breaks the trend line, I'd probably, you know, you could easily flip the trade if it did that even. Let's just see what it did. This is a good way to learn how to trade this system. It really is. See there? Now you would have felt a little bit of heat. Notice if you boxed this and you went short, you would have been short here, but your stop was here. See, because you got your swing, never took it out, and you went down. Let's see, it messed me up because down at the bottom it rolled short and then back up again. Oh, you're talking about right here. where it thrust up and pulled back? Remember I said in real time before that ever did that, though, it was going to do that. Let me show you why it does that, because I've observed this for like the last 10 years. You're going to notice that what happens is if they break a support level, looking to the left to trade the right. See, this was our support level at what, 36, right? So what do? They break it just barely. Okay, shorties get taken out of their trade once it breaks a trend line or breaks lines 2 or whatever. But remember, I called this trade right down here. But then what does it do? It actually tries to test this again. See, when they break it, that's support. So when they pop up again and take it out as resistance, then they try to check it again as support. And I even mentioned that in the room, that they were more than likely going to test that 36 again. Well, they actually didn't quite test it. They tested 37. Or no, they tested 36, didn't they? That's just that dot's a little bit bigger. They tested it exactly. No, they tested 37. Yeah, it's 37. See, that's 36 and that's 37. And when they do that, you can usually pretty much count on the fact that this thing is going to head back up. Looking to the left to trade the right. So that's one of my absolute favorite trades, is a bounce off of a left side of the chart, even though everybody else was already short up here where we got stopped out on our trade under here. Remember it on Friday? But we didn't flip it. Now, some of our people did, but I can show you how you can actually do that trade if you want to. You could actually be long where I called it, do another chart with Object Trader, and with this box here, see where the white box drew and you had support here? You could have easily taken this trade when it closed below that box, and that's on that bar. And it never came back against it. But if you're just getting stopped out of your long, you're not thinking about a short at that very moment until it took this out. And you had blue midband and everything. So that's not my favorite trade. Okay? So are we going to all try to trade just like this? What do you think the 5 trades are for the most part? Your lightning 3 retraces in the trend, deep retraces in the trend, which are phantoms. So that's 3, right? Trendline trades, and boxing in. And we'll find that, to give an example, when I called this trade on Friday right here, that went up more than 10 ticks. With 2 contracts, that's a $200 trade. This trade was called live in the room also. I think some of you were scared of it because I even mentioned that if they change this background to red even, which they did, they took out the support level and they changed everything. But was this actually a short trade except from up here? Because looking to the left, it was actually another long. But then they got a lower high and they took it down. And I did call this trade on Friday too, this phantom right here. Remember that? Let's see, where do you put your stop in a trendline trade? How much do you give it before dumping? I love trendline trades, but struggle with stops there. Well, just to give you an example, like let's say that you were trading this trade right now. You had shorted your phantom up here. I like to look for a thrust, a little retrace, draw a trend line. For instance, like this right through here is pretty much the trend line. See it, how it's hugging it? Right here at the top. So probably if it took out that trend line, I'd get out of this trade short. See if it rolls there. Yeah, see, it took it out. Now, where's another trade on this chart, though, if you happen to have taken that trade out? Well, you got a predictor saying it's right here, and I called this trade on Friday. I do remember. See if we can get it. Could you do a trend line trade on this little chart right here? Anybody? What do you think? I think you could. Let's get rid of all of our trades and see if we can get it. So we got a thrust retrace, so we could draw a trend line. Let's try it. See if we can get something on that just for the fun of it. Now I'm usually doing this when I say break that trend line myself. I don't wait. I put my stop pretty tight though, just in case. And I'm only going to try to go for looking to the left to trade the right. Let's just go for 10 ticks, just in case they hit their head here. Got our stop in, we're good to go. And let's see if that trade actually did anything. There you go. You got your 10 ticks. See how that works? Now, you can scalp these things all day long if you want to, by the way. You'll just try a couple of scalps and then we'll wrap. Let's see if we can get a couple of scalps. I'll just strictly watch for retrace trades and we'll see if we can get a couple of scalps. Look to the left to trade the right. Let's see where they haven't checked yet. Haven't checked here. Got a thrust, retrace, thrust. Haven't checked here. And keep in mind where you're looking at this, predictor's already figuring this stuff out too. Okay, so let's see if we can get another trade. We'll see if we can get one. That trendline trade is my go-to trade. You know, I like trendline trades myself too, really well actually. Matter of fact, you know, see how this is kissing predictor right here, right now? See how that's kissing predictor? If it even kisses that line and goes back through it, I would probably short it. Let's see if it does. See, they got a higher low, so they're going to do like an ABC. You can tell they got a higher low, so they're going to try to take this out. If they do, I would actually just short it on the way back down. And that would be like a what? Mid-band trade, anybody? Close to it? Let's see if we can get it. Just go for 10 ticks. Let's get gutsy and try 3 for just 10 ticks. Got to at least kiss my line because you gave a higher low, so you know you're going to take that out just barely. Anytime they give a higher low, what are they doing, everyone? They're trying to prove that's not your identified swing. That's exactly what they're trying to do. There's a swing right there to the left. Ooh, that's a yellow bar probe. What do y'all think? 10 ticks. Let's see if we can get it. There you go. Just kicked your P&L up. Notice how diagnosing on your charts. Now, this is your support and resistance type trade. Notice the reason that I actually said, okay, they're either going to hold this line, which means that's resistance, or they're going to barely wick it, maybe come to mid-band and then roll. But keep in mind that if you box in trades, you know, like for instance, if you boxed a big old box like this, are we going to get 10 ticks on this trade? We don't know. But let's say that you didn't get in until, well, let's say you boxed it like this and you didn't get in until this bar. See what I'm getting at on boxing? But what about a trend line? Well, you had a thrust retrace. It at least gave a bar back. So could you actually do this? And you got in quicker. I got in quicker because I was watching for a retrace instead, though. See? All right, now you're getting higher lows. What does everybody think? Well, you're not changing trends yet because this is what we call more minor. Remember when it changed trends earlier? what was it doing? It was doing a lot of thrust, retrace, thrust, a lot of action. This is not a trend change yet. Let's see if we can figure out the next trade and then we'll wrap. Let's see if we can figure it out. You're getting higher lows. Predictor saying right up here. Anybody see a trade? What do you think? Anybody? Well, let's look to the left to trade the right to see where we're at first. Thrust, retrace, thrust. We had a swing right here to the left. Right there. They just kissed it. Okay? So that looks to me like they won't be taking that out. Okay, and you can also see a swing over here. So could you be ready to take this trade, anybody? You want to do it a conservative way instead? Let's see if we can do it a conservative way instead. We'll wait for a little lightning type. Now, is this a breakup yet, anybody? Not yet. You do, although, have a low, a high, higher low, and a much higher high. So this is going to tell us if this actually rolls over and decides to go down, or if it decides to go up. Okay, let's see if we can get a trend line break. One of my favorites. If we get a candle down. No candle down yet, so we can't draw a trend line. See if we can get it. There's a candle down. All right, let's draw it. I'm going to actually do even one. So we're going to do, let's see, that's the one under it, so that's the B button. If it goes through it, this will be the B button. Everybody knows that, right? The way this works. Touch plus one. Am I confusing you there, Wedge? That's not firing my wedge. Well, let's see if it gets this one then. Let's get rid of this. There we go. I'm going to tighten my stop just in case. I don't like that. But it did hit exactly where I said it would, or thought it would, because you got to look to the left to trade the right. And let's see if we can get our 10 ticks without taking us out. There you go. All right, that's just scalping. And by the way, if you get to the point where you can just scalp, do you have to have these runners? Because this is looking still pretty sideways to me. Now, see, you're just hitting resistance areas. You didn't even quite get up to phantom. But keep in mind that you could actually just totally short it when you saw it hit this. You didn't have to wait for a trend line break. But you also didn't know if it was going to head up either. So that's a little bit more conservative trade. And like several people in here have said, that's one of their favorite trades right there. Everybody like that particular trade? Now, when you're in sideways chop like this, could you try to go even against the trend if, for instance, it comes down and it breaks the trend line? Could you do that even? That'd be the top. Now keep in mind this could just keep flying down, but I've drawn a trend line, right? There you go. Just got you another one. Could you draw a trend line again while this is choppy? What do you think, everybody? Let's see. It's choppy, so we're only scalping, right? Like I say, this is one of my favorite trades. See how I drew my trend line exact, thrust, retrace? Now, if you pull it back, there you go. Just got it. Let's see, how do you have an average number of trades that you take each morning? Well, Mindy, that just really depends because, you know, what I do, to give an example with my top step, and I can even, even show that on Monday if anybody wants to see it. I'm not going for, like I did during the evaluation. I was actually hitting $1,500 days on their evaluation. But on their evaluation, though, their second evaluation, they had their scale in, where you had to scale in. Well, they do that on your funded also, and you start out with 3 contracts. And he called me last week. I mentioned it to the room and everything, and asked if I wanted more contracts, and I told him no, because I'm really just trying to, get that particular account just doing nicely, and not necessarily trying to go for 1,000 a day on it, because it's more of a family. Let's see, trendline trades give me trouble with entry. It seems you often take heat if you take it right at the break. Well, keep in mind though, Roy, if you take it on the break of the trend line, it will give you a little bit of heat usually. Okay. But as a rule, you can also put your stop, just with lightning 1 too. See? So let me ask a quick question. Could you do a trend line again? Well, let's see if we can. Got to get a little candle up first. And if it gets more than candles up, we won't get a trend line. Nope, no trend line. Everybody see why? Because it bounced off support. Now this trend line would be hard to get to me. I don't like that trend line as much. If I did that one, I'd probably do it for 5 ticks. Let's see if we can get it if we break that one. I don't like that one at all, though. Not at all. But let's just see if we can get a tighter trend line. Now, 5 ticks is nothing, right? Everybody realizes that. But it's still $150 with 3 contracts. See if it gets anything. Got it. Got it. Okay. Trend lines are pretty good. Could you do this literally all day long while it's in the chop like this? What do you think? Anybody? You want to try it one more? I know I'm running a little bit over, but I think this is important for everyone. Let's just see. We're in total chop. Let's just go for like 8 ticks even, just for the fun of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for a trend line. Got to get a bar back down. Got to get little swings, right? No swing yet. Come on. Fast forward it a little bit, see if we can get a down bar at least. We got to get a trend line. We don't have a trend line yet. Come on. Do a little trend line. There's a trend line. If this bar goes back up. Tight one. Let's try for 8. Touch +1, you going to fire on me or not? There it goes. Just trying for 8. Just scalping. Now keep in mind I could probably go lower than that because I see support, but I'm just going to see if we can scalp this thing. Because if you think about it, if you could scalp 3 contracts for 8 to 10 ticks this many times, could you actually make pretty good money? And notice that I didn't take any of them that were just really straight up trend line. I had to wait for at least the thrust and retrace to draw it. See, like this one here, thrust, retrace, thrust, your trend line would have been right along in there. And did you get a trade? You might have got stopped out on that one, very possibly. I don't think I would have been stopped out on it, but if it closed above there, I would, and it looks like it wicked it. Okay, so trend line breaks, box in trades, all good, right? And just watch when it's in chop and see if you can draw trend lines. Just hit support, probably missed that one. See if it goes down. If it doesn't go down, we won't have a trend line. That is a trend line, but I don't like that one as much because it's more flattened. See, like so? I don't like that one. Because you should have probably bought in support. Let's see if we can get a little bit better trend line, if it'll head down a little bit further and we get a tighter trend line. And it would have gotten it after all, wouldn't it? Might have gotten a trade. See, the reason I don't like that one, though, let me show you. It wouldn't have fired until right in through here, so I doubt if you would have gotten 8 ticks. So what does everybody think? You want to trade this way from now on and get nicely green? Watch for the trades. Take trend line trades, one of my favorites. Take box trades, one of my favorites. Diagnose your charts so you can always get in on the trend change. Don't just go for little moves of higher lows and everything. You got to have something like this. See, when this was changing trends, you were getting a good thrust, a pullback with a higher low. Another good thrust with a pullback with a higher low. Remember? And so was that actually a trend change? Then after that, yes. Okay. So definitely a good way to trade. And if you don't trust that type of trading, wait for the initial thrust and the pullback. See how that pulled right back on top of that 99? We diagnosed that ahead of time, but Predictor even said it was. But if you even took this trade like right here, to give an example, let's say you took this trend line break instead and you put your stop right here. Did that stop get taken out for that big run for your runner? No, but you did feel some heat. See, it came to the top, double topped, and came all the way back down. So I would have probably done that in 2 pieces, more than likely. Okay, now remember, we called these in the room every single day too, because this trade was absolutely called in the room on Friday morning, exactly where that was at. And this trade was called right here. And this trade was called right here. And I think after that, we pretty much shut down because it was 10 o'clock right through here. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Hope you got this. 5 good, easy trades and easy ways to read charts. Now, will you get every single trade? No. But in the room, as a rule, we'll hit 90% or better of them. As a rule, I think that works pretty well. If you can hit 90% and keep your losers way low, then you'll keep hitting really good goals. All right? Thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And I did run this one quite a bit over. Everybody have a great Saturday, and we'll see you on Monday morning. Did I miss any questions at all? I wasn't really watching the question log so much today. Let's see. Roy, on your question, so in order to have a trend line, there has to be at least one bar that went below the bar before it or above it, right? And the reason for that is because you can't just draw, like a straight up trend line and expect that to work. You got to have a trend line. You can clearly see on this chart after the fact that, but it still does it in real time too. See, when this thrust up and pulled back, that was your trend line. See it right through there? Now you did feel a little bit of heat on it, but it never took out the swing, and down it went. So I like trend lines myself a lot. That's why we added that particular feature to Object Trader. All right, again, everybody have a great weekend. Anybody didn't get questions or answers, be sure and just Skype me. Let me know. I'll post this real soon. All right, thanks, everyone. Bye now.